cellophane, the saints of innocence, the victims that you made, yeah, the scars you gave away, yeah, you built the altar, will I be dead tomorrow, yeah, this love is such horror, your cup is running over, it's alright now, baby, you don't have to run and hide, kiss me once and I will die, yeah, your blood's like sugar, taste is running down your thighs, feel my heat inside your spine.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Brutus Makes a Caesar Salad. My background music isn't working, which makes me incredibly disappointed. This new keyboard. It's just so empty without it. So either way. All right, today, exciting day for 3 reasons, actually. It's NFL Draft. It is Rangers Senators Game 7, and I have some of the members of Jet City Vega here today on my show. How's it going, guys?
What's up?
Today?
Howdy.
All right, so I guess, I don't know, let us know about yourselves, introduce yourself, you know, what are you guys about and all that stuff.
My name's Manian. I'm the lead singer.
My name's Brandon. I organize the carnival at our shows. We have midgets and clowns, and we like to keep things fresh. So outside of playing guitar, I tame the elephants.
Yes, and he's also a lion tamer, apparently.
And I solved the background music issue. So there we go. Sounds much better now. Except you can't hear when the mics are on, but it's there.
Oh, fantastic.
When did you guys get started? When did you start playing together?
It's been about 2 years now. I've actually known Brandon
About
for
8.
about 8 years.
Yeah.
We'd basically been in different bands. And about 2 years ago, I was leaving a band that I was in at the time and was just kind of done with the whole rock and roll thing. Brandon called me and was like, hey man, you want to, start a rock and roll band? And I was kind of apprehensive at first. And then just kind of hearing his passion in his voice, I was like, all right. So, 2 years later, we're here making music and all that stuff. So
It was a bit of a rough start. We had actually just come out of a nasty love triangle, actually between Manian, myself, and his cat Samson. And but the dust settled, and we just started writing some cool songs. And
yeah, and actually, the song that you played in the beginning, which is "Blood Like Sugar," that's actually one of the very first songs.
Yep.
He and I had started working on together before we had gotten the 2 other members of the band. It was actually one of the first songs I actually emailed to him, and he quickly gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just put this thing together, and it became a beast.
which, ironically, I think that song, you said you had actually kind of been sitting on that for about 3 years.
Yeah, for about 3 years before that.
And he had kind of brought it to the attention of some of his former bandmates and whatnot, and for what reasons, whatever they may be, it just wasn't really the right time for that tune. They really weren't sure what direction to take it to, but ironically, it was, like he said, one of the first songs he brought to me, and I immediately said, we have to do something with this song. So I think it turned out really well with what it's become now. It was much more pretty, I guess, a more kind of calm, if that makes sense, tune before, and then when we brought it to Obi, he kind of just took it over the edge there, and we rocked it up a little more, and now it's definitely one of our strongest tunes.
Yeah, and this song's going to be featured on our upcoming debut EP, which is hopefully coming out next month. And he mentioned Obi. Obi O'Brien was our producer for this EP. He's also Bon Jovi's long-standing producer. Really great guy. We learned a lot from Obi, and he really helped us kind of hone in on the energy and the rawness of what we wanted for these songs. And I think it really translates well, especially in this song. So, yeah.
All right, yeah, we have that other song off the EP. You want me to play that one?
Sure.
All right, then. So let's get this one rolling. This one is This One Kid. So here it is. Take a listen. So, I don't know, you guys want to tell us about that song at all?
This One Kid, actually our bass player Tim wrote this song and had it for a few years, and when this band had started to compile material that we were going to select some songs for the EP, he brought it to my attention and said that he had this song and he had a notebook with, you know, all the chords written out, the lyrics. And in its rawest form, I wasn't really sure about it at first because, you know, it was very raw in its earliest form. And he and I went back and forth, and I helped with like some structure ideas and wrote like the lyrics for the pre-chorus. And then Brandon and Tim got together and flushed it out completely with, you know, some drums and bass and guitars, and then sent it back to me, and I laid down the vocals for the demo, and then it just became this beautiful melodic song, you know, about you know, a kid who is experiencing being kind of left out and wanting to kind of like scream in a sense, feeling just distant from the group, or, you know, like when you're in high school, that kind of thing, you know, and you see it on the news.
The outcast.
The outcast who kind of like, you know, goes really far down into that dismal place of obscurity, or what they're feeling. So that's kind of what this song's about. Like when you hear that story on the news, or you heard a kid that you knew in your high school that kind of reacted, you know, whether it was suicide or something like that, that story always kind of starts of like, yeah, that one kid, or this one kid I used to know.
Yep.
And that was, I think, where Tim kind of based that idea off of. And, you know, all of us who had been in high school, we either felt kind of out of place at one point in our lives, so we all related to that song immediately. And it's just a beautiful song. It really, in my opinion, hits home, hits the nerve as far as bringing that message out, you know, so.
I kind of experienced a This One Kid moment not too long ago. I think I told you on the phone.
Yeah.
There was a guy in my neighborhood that went to school with me. Always, you know, typical story, seemed, you know, just kind of chill, relaxed guy, whatever, this and that. And then one day I'm laying upstairs in my room, and I thought I heard somebody smacking a skateboard or something outside here. I was hearing the echo of gunshots, and the guy like lost his mind and pumped a couple rounds into his girlfriend's car. This happened like around the block from me, you know. Next thing you know, I'm reading about it in the paper the next day, and that was just kind of weird. It was like, yeah, this one kid.
Yeah, and that's really, you know, the thing with songs too is, you know, when you write something so close to the grain of what you yourself experience or someone that you knew experience, it becomes universal. And, and in a lot of ways, you find that a lot of people can relate to it in some form. And that's the beauty of just being a songwriter. So, I really have to hand it to Tim. I mean, he really wrote a beautiful song that, is one of my favorites on the EP right now. So